Welcome to the Public Report. I'm your host, Tyler Mater. Today our special guest is Leslie Williams. Leslie is the Waukesha County Hazardous Materials Coordinator. Our issue of discussion today with Leslie is going to be on the environment and our topic on sustainability. Leslie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
This is a great topic. I don't think people realize just how important the environment is, and there's so many different things that can be done by the general public to have a positive impact on that, so thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
Great. Leslie, can you tell us a little more about yourself and your position as Waukesha County Hazardous Materials Coordinator?
I've been in my position about 20 years, and basically I'm an internal compliance person for the county's own facilities. I act kind of as a consultant to keep us in compliance with environmental regulations that have to do with hazardous materials. So my main areas of work are with under and above ground storage tank compliance at the county's substations and parks, and I also do site assessments when the county is involved with either purchasing or selling land. So we do an environmental site assessment to see if there were any problems with that land before we purchase it. And I also work with a group of people who help to try to return tax delinquent properties that come to the county through that process to productive use. So that's another pretty large area that I work into.
How do you fit all that into one day? It sounds like you're pretty busy.
I am, but I basically manage two consulting contracts, one for asbestos consulting services and one for environmental consulting services. So basically I have those resources that I can bring in for any kind of project.
Sure. We hear a lot today about sustainability, obviously, in the environment, why that's so important. Can you tell our viewers a little bit more about sustainability and how it applies to what's happening in Waukesha County?
Well, the way we've looked at sustainability is kind of that very general kind of definition that says that we should be doing our work, our operations in a way that meets our current needs and the needs of our residents, but also allows for people in the future to have their needs met. So it's a way of kind of saying we're future thinking, and how can we conserve what we're doing so that our children and grandchildren will have the same kinds of resources. So that's how we're looking broadly at sustainability. I think we recognize that there are a lot of man-made kind of factors that are beginning to impinge on the environment, and in ways that we probably hadn't thought of before. We're looking at depletion of non-renewable resources like oil and gas and coal and those kinds of natural resources. And we're also thinking about in the supplies, there are dwindling supplies of fresh water for people all over the world, and these kinds of concerns fuel and drive our interest in living and working more sustainably.
Right.
So,
Why is there such a focus to implement sustainability right now into our practices?
well, I think it's those issues that we're looking at. We're looking at global climate change and how can we manage our energy in a way that conserves resources and takes care of those kinds of issues. We're also looking at the fact that there are environmentally toxic chemicals that are in the environment and have been kind of just recently, since 1945, and these are showing up in our own bodies, and so these are the kinds of concerns that we want to address, and that's why we've decided to work in a sustainable way. Also, it just makes good business sense from the county's perspective to, in fact, we've always been kind of looking at ways that we can do things in a better way to do those in a cost-effective way to save money for our taxpayers. And so we've looked at what are more efficient ways to do things. If we can conserve energy, it also conserves money. So
Sure.
that's a concern for us too.
And there are quite a few concerns, obviously, that you're dealing with. But what are some of the most major environmental concerns that the county is trying to deal with right now to prepare themselves not only for what's happening today, but also for the future?
What we're looking at as major kinds of concerns are in our own operations, and our sustainability plan really has to do with the county-owned buildings, and we are looking at ways that we can, 40% of the energy that's consumed in the United States is consumed in buildings, and so we're looking at energy conservation practices throughout all of our buildings. We're also looking at looking at water conservation, because that's a general kind of issue within Waukesha County generally.
That's interesting. Can you talk about groundwater and the issue it is with the county right now? I think that's an important topic.
Well, in Waukesha County, most of our water supply, in fact, all of it, comes from either private or municipal wells that are drawing from two different aquifers or two different layers of water below the ground surface. And generally speaking, the upper aquifer is recharged by rain and snow melt pretty readily, but that deeper aquifer, because of development within the county, because of just our growth, is being depleted at a rate that is not sustainable. So we're really drawing on supplies of older water in that deeper aquifer, and that older water has minerals, and in the city of Waukesha what we're dealing with is radium within the water supply. And so what we want to do is basically, what the city of Waukesha is looking at is getting a diversion to be able to have Lake Michigan water, and that means that when we use water from Lake Michigan, we're not taking it out of the deep aquifer. The deep aquifer can recharge itself, and when it does that, then our lakes and our streams within Waukesha County can recharge themselves too. They're not going down in level. So I think that's a big push within the county and within the city. Sure. Especially.
And I'm guessing that Waukesha County has a sustainability plan in place for the short and long term. Can you tell our viewers a little more about that plan?
Well, we really began it in 2008. The director of our department, Dale Shaver, was kind of charged by our county executive, Dan Vracus, with coming up with a sustainability plan, because our county executive could see that this was an effort and an issue that was really gaining traction, and so we wanted to be, kind of in the forefront of that. And as it turns out, we have been, in terms of communities within the state, to have a formal sustainability plan. So Dale brought together different groups of people across departments to form a team, and we basically looked at our building operations and the design of buildings. We looked at how we manage the land around our buildings in terms of pesticide use, stormwater runoff, the vegetation, what kinds of vegetation we have. And then we also looked at general land use within the county and how we are planning and zoning in ways that can conserve land, can conserve our water resources. Then we also looked at transportation. How can we manage our highways and roads in a way that actually, in terms of, say, salt use in the winter, can we reduce that? Can we move people in ways that will conserve the gasoline that they use in their cars? That kind of thing. So we looked at an employee outreach and also looking at green purchasing. So the county spends a lot of money on products, and it spends a lot of money on lots of things, but but in our own purchasing of products that we use, cleaning chemicals, equipment, computers, all sorts of things, there are green alternatives. There are products that are manufactured in ways that conserve energy and resources. There are products that use less packaging. There are products that are less toxic. So we were looking at green purchasing ideas and how we can do a better job of kind of marshaling the market force that we have in our purchasing to encourage companies to provide those green alternatives.
Is there a list anywhere on the county website that really describes the general consumer some of those green alternatives to products that are available today, or any recommendations of places they might be able to go to get that type of information?
It's our Recycling and Solid Waste Division in our department that does some really great workshops through our recycling facility. There are alternatives suggested for all sorts of things. We even look at how you can make your own green cleaning products in your home. So
great.
If you go to our website, actually the WaukeshaCounty.gov, but go to Parks and Land Use and look at recycling and solid waste, you can get some really good tips on those kinds of suggestions.
Okay. I'm sure there are a lot of things that individuals and communities can do to really help make sure that we do a better job of sustaining the environment and allowing it to be in a position that is as positive as possible for future generations. What are some of the things that individuals can do in order to make sure that we're maintaining that high level?
Well, as I just said, kind of consider using environmentally friendly cleaning products. And recycling, as I said too, recycling one aluminum can saves enough energy for you to run your TV for 3 hours.
Wow.
So certainly recycling. Yeah.
Sure, an important part.
And replacing frequently used light bulbs with fluorescents. It's just an amazing energy savings. In fact, we received money from the Energy Conservation Block Grant Program to do energy or lighting fixture retrofits in lots of county buildings, including the Expo Center. And we're going to save lots of money, and it's just amazing what you can save just in terms of lighting upgrades.
I can imagine. This has been great, Leslie. Thank you so much for your time today. A lot of things that you brought to us are incredibly important, not only to, of course, the general public, but to everything that we do on a daily basis to make sure that we continue to maintain that high level of sustainability. And obviously, Waukesha County is doing everything it possibly can to move in that direction. So thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you so much. Once again, our special guest today has been Leslie Williams. She is the Waukesha County Hazardous Materials Coordinator. Our issue of discussion today has been the environment, and our topic has been sustainability. For the Public Report, I'm your host, Tyler Mader.
The material on this program does not necessarily reflect the views of WWRS.